Hi guys, and welcome to today's video where I'll be introducing Francis, the hitchhiking stick insect. So yeah, I now have a stick insect. So a few days ago, me and my boyfriend, we went around to some reptile and aquatic shops. It's kind of like what we do. We try to find some we've never been to before, travel out a bit, see what we can find. Well, in this one shop, there was a big screen cage of stick insect nymphs, and there were literally hundreds, and I'm pretty sure some were already escaping. We'd noticed some around the shop, like crickets and stuff around the shop that had escaped, because when you're offering like pinhead crickets in an exoteric cage, they will probably escape out the vents. And I think that's probably how Francis and his siblings escaped, because the screen cage had that same kind of ventilation. They do actually have resident house geckos who will eat any escapees. This is quite common in a lot of reptile shops around here, so I guess in a way Francis was kind of lucky. Anyway, get back in the car, we're driving off, and I realise this little fella's on me. Now, by the way, I know Francis is a girl, but I may refer to her as a he, because frankly, at this point, Francis probably identifies as a stick and really does not care if I refer to it as a he or a she, but it is probably a she. So anyway, stick insects have always kind of been on my radar, because over the years I had been offered quite a few nymphs that I have considered taking on. However, anytime I read up about them, especially this stage of life, they're very delicate. Also, usually the time I'm offered them, I'm also looking after caterpillars, and I'm like, So I guess I just didn't feel very prepared, but in this instant, like, Francis chose me. He was either going to be house gecko food, or he's a very smart stick insect and just jumped on me and got in the car, so good on him. Now, we don't know exactly what he is. From what we can remember, we think there was a sign saying giant leaf insect. Most people over on Instagram said he's either a common or Indian stick insect, so that's kind of what we're going with. However, the other night I did take this really close-up picture of him, so if anyone's out there who's like an expert who can identify him for sure, that would be awesome. But yeah, I'm 100% open to advice. Just unfortunately, I think the problem, and I find this with ants advice as well, is it's very conflicting. One moment you're doing everything perfect and someone will say, no, that's completely wrong. And you're like, what? So for example, I've read that they will live 9 to 12 months. And then some people say they can live a couple years. I've heard they'll lay all their eggs over a period of time and then die. And then I've heard they will casually lay eggs throughout their life. When it comes to eggs and babies, to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure what to do. Some people will freeze the eggs. I had to do this with my giant African land snails. I used to have them like years and years ago, and I had 5, and they'd lay 100 to 200 eggs at a time, so naturally the best thing to do was to freeze them. Some people say to sell them, either the eggs or the nymphs. I don't know if any of you guys would be interested. I guess the shipping cost would be the expensive part. I honestly didn't think this would be anything I'd have to think about yet. I thought maybe a few months down the line. But I've been told that Francis will grow really quickly and lay eggs very soon, so I'm slightly worried. By the way, if you didn't know, stick insects reproduce parthenogenically, so they don't need a male. It basically reproduces mini clones of itself. If you've ever looked into how aphids reproduce, it's similar to that. So yeah, Francis Juniors are probably coming in the next few months. So anyway, we get little Francis home. I quickly pop him in an empty cricket box. Then I found this very large sort of pickling size jar. It's very, very big. We put some brambles in there. We put this netted top, which thankfully I don't think he can escape out of. We also put some wet paper towel at the bottom. Thanks to people on Instagram for telling me about that. I was worried because I know they can actually drown in water droplets. So we weren't 100% sure how to do this right, but thanks to Instagram, within less than an hour of probably having him, we knew what to do. Now, I do have this big pop-up cage, which I was bought for Christmas. Basically, last summer I had brown-tailed moth caterpillars, and I had to throw that cage away because basically when they molted before they pupated, all of their hair was released in the cage, and if you didn't know, their hair is a massive irritant. I was covered in rashes all last summer, so I needed a new one. Now, technically, this would definitely be big enough for Francis in the future, but once again, I'm seeing conflicting information about this, whether it holds enough humidity and so on, so we shall see. I don't know if you guys want little updates about Francis here and there. I've heard they will grow very, very fast. Give this video a like if that's something you'll be interested in, like Francis and his journey to motherhood. I don't know. But yeah, if this is kind of what's happened, it's unexpected. It's a learning curve, and always check yourself before leaving a shop because things happen. Anyway, if you have any advice for me, as I said, totally welcome. Just make sure it comes from a reliable source. If you haven't already, please subscribe. But thank you so much for watching, guys, and goodbye.